Hello and welcome to the Layers podcast. I'm your host Tayo and I'm so happy to have you join us today. The heart behind the Layers network and podcast is to see people grow. So each conversation we have is designed to have something in there just for you. And I hope that that very thing that you take away equips and empowers you to broaden your thinking, your network, and your personal influence. So whether you're at home, in the car, or on your daily commute, relax and enjoy the conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today in the guest seat, I have the amazing Peju Obasa with us today. Peju is the founder, designer, and creative force behind the womenswear knit brand named after herself. Welcome, Peju.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Glad that you can be here. So tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself and tell us about your brand, and then we'll get into it.
So I'm, from London, been here all my life. I started my brand a couple years ago. I really just wanted to make something useful out of my time, the extra time that I had. And I was finding it quite difficult to find design jobs when I first graduated from uni.
Okay.
So I think I literally just started making accessories with no plan of even selling them. But then people just wanted to know more. They were interested in buying. And it kind of started organically from there, really.
Nice. So what did you study at uni?
Fashion knitwear design. And so with art school and like design school and things like that, you have to do like a foundation first. So I did my foundation at Central St. Martin's. Nice. And then I went on to do my 4-year course at Nottingham Trent.
Nice. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I loved it. I think degree was amazing. It was pretty full on in the first year. But then I think you just get used to it. I feel like most creative courses are the same. You like just put a lot of effort in. You're in the studio all day. But yeah, I really learned a lot from those 4 years. And the third year was placement year. So I went off to New York and I was working out there as a design assistant. And that was one of the best experiences to date, I think.
Oh, so you said you've lived in London basically your whole life and then you took a year out to go to New York. How was that? What was that transition like and how did it like impact you?
At first, I feel like I was so excited to go because it's like New York and didn't hear much about it. Obviously watched all of the movies. Yeah. And I was just so excited to just leave home, like London, what I've known, and be somewhere new. I didn't actually like the job that I was doing out there. It was very corporate. And I feel like in design, you kind of want a little bit of creativity, a bit that input in, and you don't really get that in a commercial setting in that way. Yeah. So it's very much about number crunching and making sure things are, cheap enough to fulfill the designer's brief or, the wholesale's brief. So it's kind of...
Yeah, revenue and the rest.
Yeah, it's extremely regimented. But I loved living in New York and I just found, there's so much to do, very inspiring.
Yeah. Very nice. So let's talk about your brand. Speaking of actually very inspiring, New York, how do you get the creative ideas? So walk us through your collection, actually. You have 3 collections currently. No, 4.
Yeah. So the first one that I started off with was the jersey bags. They're made out of recycled jersey. I believe they're made in a factory in Portugal. So they receive lots of recycled. It could be like anything like T-shirts or like bed linen and things like that. They recycle it, they handle it, wash and care it. And then they cut it into strips to form a long roll of jersey knit, which you can, jersey yarn that you can use to then, crochet or knit anything you like. So I was really interested in using that just because I think sustainability is so important and trying to repurpose things and using materials that would be classed as waste and making something, new and exciting out of it. It's kind of the future, I feel
absolutely.
So that was pretty much the reasoning behind that. And I'm not a fan of the whole disposable culture. I feel like things can be used until there is no use at all.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. So you would say that that's like sustainability is central to your brand. I think that's clear to see, actually.
Yeah, I don't think it was an add-on. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
actually start off like this. I didn't really know much about what sustainability was. I know it was just one of those, popular words that was thrown around
Yeah.
in fashion, trying to be good, but not actually necessarily knowing how to be sustainable or how to even do that on a large scale. But I
Yeah.
think when you start small, it's so easy to be
Mm-hmm.
sustainably conscious. And I think it should literally be in in the core of everyone's brand who's
Mm.
starting off now.
Fantastic. I love
Mm.
that. Was there like something that you saw at first and you were like, you know what? This needs to be the way that I do business. This is the way that I need to create.
Yeah, I think from the beginning, like from art school, even before then, when I was studying design and arts at college, I always used to say, I want to change the world with fashion, one stitch at a time. And I think just trying to uncover that, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
to be done still in
Mm-hmm.
technologies around sustainabilities, but there's also things that can be done organically, like just using repurposed materials.
Great.
So it wasn't really a big decision. I just thought, this is the only way for me to go. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. Fantastic. You're doing great work.
Thank you.
You're doing really great work. So
Mm.
that's the recycled jersey bags.
Yeah.
What about the sumo bags? Am I pronouncing that properly? Sumo bags.
Sumo. So sumo
Sumo.
means, yeah, it means close to me,
Oh,
So
I
I
love
was in,
that.
yeah. So
That's
it's
so
one of my
cute.
favorites, just because also I love using. So it's the collection is predominantly used with raffia. Raffia is a biodegradable natural plant-based yarn that
Yeah.
is used all over the world, pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I would that inspiration. Where did I get inspiration for that? Just everything. I get my inspiration from a lot of things.
Yeah.
I get it from places that I travel to, interactions with craftsmen all
Mm.
over the world, like markets and things like that, architecture, and so much. So I think
Yeah.
that was just the next stage to explore a different sort of material that was still going to be sustainable, and
Yeah.
that also is is used in traditional making. And
Nice.
so yeah, that was the story behind that. And luckily I was able to shoot the collection, the photo shoot in Nigeria, which is amazing.
And you're from Nigeria.
Yeah, I am
Nice.
indeed.
These diasporic people. I'm
Go
just kidding.
Nigerians. We love it. It was lovely to go back home and just have a different feel, different
Yeah.
outlook on what it's like to be in Nigeria.
Yeah. So how do you find living here the whole time and then going back home? Like what do you feel like, oh, this is a bit different. This is like interesting.
Yeah, it's really different, to say the least. I think the last time I went was like maybe 11, 12 years ago with my family. So obviously I
Oh
was a
wow.
baby back then. I didn't really know, we were just going on
Mm-hmm.
family holiday. I think we were going to a couple of weddings out there. So it was totally different vibe. Like it was just a family holiday pretty much.
Yeah.
This time I went out with my friends, which obviously just changed the whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was just nice to just be around other, young Nigerians. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of British Nigerians there as well. We went
Yeah.
during Easter where they have like, lots of festivals and things like that. So it was
Yes. And fashion
amazing.
shows, I think, as well.
Exactly, yeah. So the art
Yeah.
scene is, it's burgeoning over there. So it was exciting to be there at that time.
Very nice. I wanted to ask about sumo. What language? Where is that from?
It's Yoruba, where that's my language.
Mm.
And yeah, I chose it because it means close. And I was back home when I shot it, and I just thought it made sense.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Now,
Mm.
talk to us about the good news t-shirt.
So the good news T-shirt, I think I just had an idea. I just wanted to do like just an easy, not easy, but just a fun,
Mm.
cool piece that would just be nice to spread some good news, So
Yeah.
some amazing words on that T-shirt. I worked on it in collaboration with Street Calf. I took an iPad to some of our sessions, and I was just getting all of my peers to write down words that inspire them.
I love that.
Words, yeah. So that was that, and then so I made that with the aim of making a charity tea, so that some of the proceeds would go back to my favourite charities, which is Street Calf that I work with, of course, and
Street Calf Gang.
yeah, and Girls Like Us EU, which is a wonderful non-profit organisation helping Black girls to just grow and progress in society.
Which is very much needed. So, in fact, perfect segue into one of the questions that I actually wanted to ask you about being a Black-owned business in the current climate today. So we're seeing a lot of posts, a lot of people be seeing a lot of posts about the Black Pound Day, support Black businesses. Why is it important? Because I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he's Italian, and he was like, I don't understand like why we're supporting Black businesses because they're Black businesses. I mean, I don't think there was any ill will there, but I think he didn't understand why there was like a specific stamp on support Black businesses.
I mean, it's pretty obvious to me. Black businesses are under-supported, and so by having things like this, it brings to the forefront that we need to intentionally support them because we haven't been for so long. I think that I've received similar statements over Black History Month, like, why isn't there White History Month? White history is, around us all the time, 365. So yeah, I think it's time to shine a light on Black businesses.
Yeah. What do you think?
And hopefully we won't even have like these things in the future because it will just be part of integrated in our society. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think when we're having that conversation, I was like, to me as well, and I know that my sister does, we try, if we're traveling abroad, to support Black Airbnbers. I don't know if Airbnbers is a word, because as a Black person, it's harder to get your Airbnb accepted because you're Black, and it's harder. People may not want to stay, in a home with, let's say, when the person is Black. Like I actually have a friend who was saying that she had to take her picture down from like a room share thing to be able to get house viewings, or she'll view a house, but sorry, it's gone now. She checked back a few days later, it's back on. And I was watching this vlog as well with this lady. Her husband is German, she's Nigerian, and she was saying when they were looking for a home in Ireland that after a while she was just like, if we need to move in on the day we need to move in, you need to start going for the house viewing so that we can actually get a home. So I think I know it's ridiculous. I was actually thinking that in the midst of the pull up or shut up challenge and not challenge kind of movement and kind of platform, that perhaps Airbnb, that's something that we need to speak about in housing as well.
I mean, there's definitely still some areas that need to be infiltrated with, just some, we just need to highlight what's really been going on and dismantle those toxic things.
I agree with you. So before we digress, let's go back a bit. What do you think contributes to people not like, because some people might be like, it's not like I'm making a conscious decision not to support Black businesses, and it's not necessarily a Black and non-Black thing. It's that there are some Black people who don't actually support Black businesses, and that it's not malicious intent. It's just that's not naturally what they'll gravitate towards, because if they go on they're looking for, I don't know, makeup, skincare, they're going to go and like look fantastic or something.
I mean, I feel like Black companies, Black people have been seen as less than for so long, and that so anything that they do, anything that we do would possibly be seen in that way, which is probably why it hasn't been at the forefront of business and different companies and innovation when it comes to new businesses, new ideas. So I think that's pretty much it. That's all I can think about, really. Yeah.
So how do you navigate this space of women's wear, fashion, and being a Black creator?
I mean, the fashion industry is very much white still, which is crazy because, there's so much culture that's been injected into fashion that is Black culture, point blank, period. But it's not celebrated in a way that, you guys are really innovators. It's just celebrated in the fact that, I'm going to use this and not reference anything Black or anything that's got to do with the root of this idea. So I think a lot has been stolen, to be brash. But I think, we're ready to kind of reclaim some of that, and we're ready to just also stand up for ourselves and say, look, we can do this. We're creative. Like, we're actually naturally creative. No one can disagree with that statement.
Yeah.
So yeah, now's the time, really.
Yeah, I agree with you. So you're proud to bring a different voice to the table.
Totally. And also, I pride myself, obviously I'm a Black woman, but I pride myself on making things that are functional, that are stylish, that transcend trends, things that people want and will look after and treasure.
Yeah.
And so, that will appeal to anyone, Black, white, whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. So let's talk about so you said, let's actually go back to the beginning where you said about you were creating accessories. And then people were like loving them, and then that led to your brand now.
Yeah.
How did you go from accessories? When you say accessories, what do you mean by that? Because when you say accessories, I actually think like pieces of jewelry and little things, but no, we're talking about like bags and shirts.
Okay, yeah. So I was making little zip purses and bags at the beginning. I was sampling the bag that I now have, which is I guess my signature semicircle bag with the flap and the buckles. I was sampling that for like a year, just because I was like, if I'm going to put something out there, it needs to be functional, and it needs to be something new, and it kind of ticked those boxes in a way that, people are like, oh, they haven't seen something like this that's crocheted. I love using old traditions and making it new. That's just what I do naturally. It's what
sustainability.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And they're handmade.
Yeah, they are handmade by me and only me.
That's insane. So if I go to the website now and I'm picking out my favorite bag, which you already know which one it is, and I place the order in, are you making that?
Yeah.
Like once the order comes in?
Yeah. So
wow.
A lot of the bags are made to order, and then some of them we have stocked already, so they can just be bought and shipped ASAP. But yes, most of them are made to order.
What's that process like for you? How do you get organized? How do you stay on top of things?
I think in the beginning it was just overwhelming because, the knowledge isn't necessarily there, but I feel like business is such a vocational thing where you learn as you go. You learn from your mistakes, from your experiences, from highs, from the lows, from everything, really. And so I just kept refining the structure of business as I was going. So I realized that it wasn't going to be efficient for me to have like 20 different colors for people to choose from, because then you'd have to get all of that. You'd have to buy all of that product, store it somewhere, and then, you also don't know who's going to buy which color. So it actually made more sense to me for me to refine the options.
Absolutely.
And also give people the opportunity to just choose from a smaller option, which is, less overwhelming for the consumer.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I feel like even with layers, there's certain things where I'm like, but does this work in a way that's not overwhelming for you and your audience? Like, you have to create. I think that's the good thing about owning your own business and having your own brand and whatever, is that you find what works for you.
Exactly.
So what would you say were the traditional things that you believed in when you first, or rather you believed when you first started? And what are the things that now you're like, no, I've just changed this and this is for me. This is what works the best for me.
Oh, that's a layered question.
No pun intended.
I don't really know if I can pinpoint a certain area of what works for me, but I think definitely doubting myself and doubting like maybe a design or a product, thinking, oh, I've got actually a good one. Costing, pricing things was kind of like a difficult process for me, because I didn't understand that I needed to charge money for my products. And I did a little pop-up shop like in my first year, and I did it with a few other creators, amazing girls, some from New York, some from London. And then one of the girls was like, oh, you're charging your bags for X amount. I think it was £80 I started off with. She was like, how many hours do you put into this? How much is cost price? She was just like, oh, darling, you're just like me when I started off. And I was literally like, oh my gosh. I was like, really? Can I really charge harder? She was just like, yeah. She literally just said, you'll learn. And that's stuck in my head ever since. And I realized that, you actually need to be charging what the product costs to make.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be, all areas need to be covered. So it's good business to, charge an appropriate amount of money for a product. And, people buy.
That's so interesting, because I feel like I love what you said about business being so vocational and you're always like learning. I think one thing I've heard from a lot of people who have a business, a personal brand, is that thing of pricing. How much am I asking this person to pay me for my service, my this and my that? And it's oftentimes that they have this kind of aha revelation moment when someone else says to them, why are you charging that? Or you should be charging more. And it's almost like you need someone to kind of help you realize your own value, because I think pricing is one of those things where you feel like if it's too high, people won't buy. If it's too low, then I'm not going to get paid. And it's hard to find that center place.
Yeah, I agree with that. But it's so wrong for us to think that, oh, if I charge this, someone won't pay for it. Because if the product is of good quality and if you're not ridiculously, profiting from like a huge margin, then, of course you should be charging at a good price point. Like, it only makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I think, we should stop undervaluing ourselves.
I agree. So what you said about previously about you put out a product and you kind of have that self-doubt. I feel like sometimes like a podcast could go out, a post could go out on the Layers Network platform, and I'm just like, oh, I just needed to shift that a little bit more. I just needed to just put this back. What's your advice to people who are starting fashion brands or even just starting a business with being so pedantic? Like, what are the good stuff and what is like you need to chill?
Yeah, I was actually having a conversation with my friend about this, who's kind of been a mentor, to be honest, in this whole journey of building my brand. And we were talking about social media and how we feel like we can't post a certain thing because that doesn't represent our brand, or we can't post too much of us because that doesn't represent our brand. And I just feel like, firstly, like, your brand is your brand, it's not you. So I think we need to separate that element of everything is in this. Like, we are humans first and foremost. We aren't our brands. So I think it's okay to inject, a bit of everything into it. I don't think there's any formula that works for one person that, will work for another person. So it's really just finding out how your consumers interact and also what you want to put out there, because it's, it's a part of you that you're putting out there. Not all of you, but a part of you. So I think ultimately it's your decision, and we shouldn't really care too much what people think about what we're posting in that way, where it's, kind of stopping us from kind of functioning.
Yeah, I agree with you. It reminds me of an interview I was listening to. I think it was like an old Kanye West interview, and he was like, and they were like, so do you feel confident about what you've released? And he was like, no, every time I release an album and I listen, it comes on the radio, I'm like, that just sounds so off. That just needs to be put back together. That needs to do this. That needs to be a certain type of way. And it's very, very difficult, I would say, especially in a very visual, representative world where, even a topic that I want to discuss with you, in a world where, you were talking about you're separate from your brand. And they're not always the same. But now people a lot of their identity into the brands that they consume. So someone could be really attracted to Peju Obasa because it's sustainable and it's ethical and it has a charity aspect, and that's exactly who they believe that they are. That's how they navigate the world. So they will stick to you, whereas they might cuss a different brand because they're like, you're not sustainable. You use plastic, you do this, and it's now like an identity kind of consumerism. What do you think about that?
I think, it's like I said before, there's layers to being sustainable, and there's different aspects that need to be put into place, and we just need to realize that also no brand is perfect. What you put out there is also just important to obviously be transparent with what you're doing, because like, for instance, the buckles on my bags, they're made out of plastic. You can't really get any other material that's going to be like a biodegradable material or something, something else. So some parts will still, need progress. I'm definitely always looking at ways of being 100% sustainable, but it's quite hard to get there. So I think that can kind of roll into other aspects of a brand, whether it be sustainability or putting out a message of something that's personal to you. It's just quite difficult to be 100% perfect because no one is. So I think just try as much as you can and be 100% transparent. Did that answer your question? I feel like I kind of went sideways.
No.
Okay.
It's fine. It's completely fine. So I love your progression from, it seems like you've always kind of known what you wanted to do. Like your progression from, I'm studying this at university, I'm going to New York to do this, I'm coming back. And then you were saying that you were just doing accessories just because you wanted to. That's, I guess, imagine like your creative outlet.
Yeah.
And then now you are selling the bags. It feels quite natural for us consuming your story and consuming your product. Did it always feel that natural to you? Or were there moments where you were just like, what am I even doing?
Oh, definitely moments of what am I doing? I think in business, there's always going to be those moments of doubt or like something's gone wrong and you just think, oh my gosh, I need to stop this before I go any further. Like I've put this much into it, this much time, it needs to be great, this and that. Like there's definitely times that I was thinking that I just don't need to be doing this. But I think what pulled me through is my faith, definitely 100%. Just knowing that, you know what, to be honest, if you don't give up, then something good will happen, Yeah. Like, you just need to keep working at it. Yeah. It's all a work in progress. Nothing's perfect at first, and you will make mistakes. But guess what? Yeah. Those mistakes will lift you higher than, you could ever imagine. So I think, that's kind of how I just get through it. There's been loads of things that I thought, I wouldn't be able to get to this stage, and then something else happened, looked different to what I planned, but it kind of is still progress. So
how do you embrace that? Like, this happened so differently to what I planned, because I feel like at the moment, even doing podcasts, like I remember the first ever podcast I recorded, I had to literally just walk away from the table because I was like, you have all your questions and you have everything. And then it was like, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to succumb to the idea that you're not going to be able to control everything. And no matter how great your questions are, no matter how great you conduct this, it really depends on what that person says, how they say it, how they communicate with you. And there's an element of like a loss of control that I feel like I'm embracing on this journey.
Totally, 100%. I think that you've hit the, spot on, because I think the problem is we always want to be in control of every little last thing, and it's impossible. You kind of have to, that just needs to be put to an end, because you can't control everything, and it won't always work out how you think you want it to. And that's part of embracing it. Like, you need to be able to adapt.
And it's not a bad thing, I think, because I feel like all the things that didn't work out the way you wanted them to, where you are right now is a product of that.
Exactly. And honestly, I do look back and think, wow, like I really did want to stop this after I made my first sample and it wasn't quite what I wanted, didn't work the way I wanted to. But if I gave up then it would have ended because I gave up. But, I kept going. And, that's just the way to do it.
And you have to keep going. I think sometimes, like, there are moments where I feel like, I just want to give up. And I'm like, you can't. You have to keep going. That's why it's called going through it. You come out on the other end, but you have to go through it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes like you don't have a choice. You have to go. You're either going to stay here and cry. You have to get up.
Yeah. And in hindsight, that journey, it looks different in your head afterwards. You're just like, oh, I really did have to go through that. And look what's happened. Look where I've come up,
Yeah.
It's a journey. Everything's a journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's absolutely a journey. So, are you sticking to bags and shirts, or how are you thinking of expanding? You don't have to tell us anything that's secret.
So no, so I originally I wanted to just work on women's wear with accessories involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
I never really solely saw myself as an accessories designer, but it's
Mm-hmm.
been fun to be fair. But I'm definitely going to expand to women's wear. I've got plans of doing that. Hopefully, or I did have plans on doing that this year, but
Mm.
COVID. But it's
Yeah.
not going to stop me. I've got
Bloop, bloop.
yeah, I'm going to be releasing some new stuff
Nice.
soon, some new bags.
Watch this space.
Yeah. So yeah, lots coming. I'm
Why?
excited.
I'm excited for you. Why women's wear? Like, what about why not shoes? I mean, I guess that's
To be
part of women's
honest,
wear too, but why?
yeah, the shoes is coming soon. That's
Oh,
top secret. That has to come.
oh my gosh.
'Cause
So we have
I'm
like this inside joke of Peju shoes. So I'm
oh
really
yeah.
scared.
Oh yeah, there's that. But you guys don't understand. So my feet are quite big. Like I can hardly find any shoes for women.
What size
My
are your
my
feet?
nine.
I
9.5,
have
but wide.
9.5. Oh my gosh. So
Exactly.
struggle.
It's a struggle. So the shoe business is going to have to be ready for me soon because I need to make. I just want some cute mules. It's so difficult to find. Like
Yeah.
it's mostly just comfort shoes, for like if you have issues with your feet and things that come in that size, and I think it's ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to infiltrate shoes, the whole
Nice.
shoe market very soon.
Nice.
But back to your question, why do I choose women's wear? I don't know. I've loved fashion since I was young, to be honest, and I love how it can
Mm.
be a form of expression
Oh
and
yeah.
how it's quite seasonal, occasion wear, all those things have excited me. And yeah, I just think, I just love it. It's just a part of me, really.
Nice. Very natural.
Yeah.
Very natural to who you are. I like it feels very like authentic. Like your brand, like I know that you said that there's a separation between, there can be rather a separation between your personal life and your personal self and your brand.
Yeah.
But I actually feel like it's interesting that you say that because like I know Paige outside of like obviously doing this episode with her, and her brand feels like her.
Thank
Like
you.
it feels, yeah, you're welcome. It feels like you. So I don't know how well that you can even separate the two because obviously the elements of
Yeah.
yourself in that. Does that make you a bit afraid of like when you expand and you grow and by God's grace get really big and out there, like to maintaining that authenticity?
You know what? I'm not, because I think also so many things excite me, so many things inspire me that collections can change and can look different,
Mm,
but it'll still have that feel of it. And I think,
yeah,
like we were discussing at the beginning, it's at the core of everything, really. I want something that's functional, that's
mm,
beautifully handcrafted. I'm all about materiality and using, just
yeah,
exploring the use of great materials.
mm-hmm,
Um, I think that will be represented in anything I do because
yeah,
that's who I am really,
mm-hmm.
and that's what the brand is.
I love that.
Mm.
You see, you're a very simple designer. Just it's
Yeah,
just stressful.
that doesn't. It's not. I mean, there's so many different designers in the world, and I
Yeah.
think it's important for you to be yourself as the designer. You don't need to,
Mm,
copy anyone else, mimic anything else, or try and be something, different.
yeah. I, I actually, what you said now about being yourself and
Mm.
not trying to be anything different, and then going back to the beginning when you said about sustainability for you was not an add-on; it was
Yeah.
just naturally what it was supposed to be.
Hmm.
I was watching the J Lo coming back 20 years later in that green dress, in the
Yeah.
Versace dress years later. And there
Yeah.
was a video on her channel and she was with Donatella. And then I was just looking at Donatella and I was like, it's so funny because little snippets that I see of you,
Hmm.
like it's so like I get Versace when I look at her.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting. what you said about authenticity and things not being an add-on.
Yeah.
It's just very
I think,
natural.
yeah, I think, yeah, it's natural and it allows us to like follow their story a bit,
Mm-hmm.
more organically because at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
it's, fashion is storytelling,
Mm-hmm. It is.
realistically,
It is.
from like, sampling,
Mm-hmm.
ideas, production to the final piece.
Yeah. So, what do you think about, I would say, a kind of new wave of fashion? I feel like when I was growing up and I would like look at, fashion shows and whatever, it was Tyra and it was Naomi. And
Mm-hmm.
then there was a point where Victoria's Secret brought in people like Chanel Iman and Jordan Dunn. And
Yeah,
then it kind of seemed like they were always like two. And now it seems like there's a lot more now in
yeah,
terms of representation, not just representation in um in race, but even in body size,
yeah.
figure, and everything else.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful that, the beauty standards are changing
Mm,
and I think to be honest, it really is a lot of it is down to social media and us being exposed to, different cultures, just different things really.
mm,
And it's important to, have that represented in fashion. It's such a
yeah.
global thing that it can't just be, that minimized standard.
Hmm.
There's just no room for that anymore, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either.
Mm.
Like I think to walk past a magazine stand now and just see different types of people, I feel like sometimes it still I don't know if it's just me, it still catches me a bit off guard where I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
I guess that's what we're doing now.
yeah. But I think what's so amazing about that is that there'll be a whole new generation of like young
Mm,
black girls, young women of color that will only know that. How
yeah,
amazing.
absolutely amazing. It's actually really incredible. Like I think even little things, like
Hmm.
when I was in Superdrug and I came across the like black hair care like section.
Yeah.
I was like, when I moved here 11 years ago,
Hmm. There was
this
none
was
of
not a thing.
that.
This was not a thing. But seeing it now, and it started with Shea Moisture, and I was like, I
Yeah.
don't really use Shea Moisture. So I was just like, okay, cool. And then I
Yeah.
started seeing olive oil, Cara Care, all these other brands, and I'm just like, oh,
Wow.
wow.
It still surprises me, to be honest. I'm just like, wow, okay, because all I've known is Black Hair Shop, and where am
Yeah.
I, where I'm gonna get my things from? Like to go to Boots and get my
Yeah.
things from there. I mean, it's something.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, I guess it's part of progression. It's good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. To be honest, there's no need for me to ask you what your diversity plan is because there's no point. How do you feel actually about that? These recent months where people have kind of been asking brands to kind of be a little bit more transparent with what their diversity is like, and have you seen any particular thing that you're just like, this is so disappointing?
I mean, wow, yeah. I mean, it just goes to show that there's so much to be done because the fact
Mm,
that this was such a huge thing that shifted many
mhm.
company structures is just like, wow, you guys really weren't trying to, be diverse before.
Yeah, yeah,
And, everyone can talk the diversity talk, but, are you actually really acting on it? So I think
yeah,
that was this phase of things,
yeah,
like actually acting upon it, because we've heard of diversity, we've heard of all these things that are initiatives in companies, but now is the time for them to actually action it. So
yeah,
um, things are definitely changing, and it's great to see.
yeah. It is great to see. Paige. So we call Peju Page in our group
So
chat.
many nicknames. Wow.
So many. Oh my gosh. So now I'm calling you Paige and I meant to actually call you Peju. I was going to ask you, what would you say?
Hmm.
So I have two sets of questions. The first question is actually about style.
Okay.
Style, everything is like, it feels like it's very natural to
Hmm.
you. What would you say to people who are like, I don't actually really know what my style is? Like,
Yeah.
how do I dress? Do I dress sexy? Do I dress fun? Because I feel like even sometimes you can scroll through Instagram and you're like, why don't I wear things like this more often?
Yeah.
How do you?
I mean, I think so. I'm a big girl, okay? I'm 5'11", I've got the
Are you
curves.
5'11"?
Yeah, I'm a tall girl.
I thought you were like 5'9".
Everyone says this. I'm not, I don't know. I mean, y'all look up when you see I'm tall, okay? 5'11" or 5'10.5", one of those. Anyway, I'm a big girl. So, and I've been like this forever. Like, I remember the first day of school, year 7. I was literally the tallest girl there. It was just like, I was just like, what? Like, I thought this is big school, Where's all the big kids at? So I've always had to shop for my size.
Yeah.
So I think that's just followed me throughout life. Like, I wear things that suit my body. I don't, like, obviously I love to, like, look at different ways people have styled things, but sometimes it's just not going to suit you because it's just not your body. So I think that whole element of comparison just needs to be gone. Like, we just don't need to be comparing ourselves to anyone else. We need to be dressing for our body shape, for what we like as well. And I think that is what makes the most stylish girls. I'm not about the trends. Trends come and go. It's boring. It's disposable. And to be honest, it's not sustainable at all.
Yeah.
I think it's so good to just collect key pieces that you'll have for a long time. Like, I literally have clothes in my wardrobe that are 10 plus years and I can wear them and change them up in so many different ways. You'll think this girl has a big wardrobe. I really don't.
Lies.
I don't. I actually don't.
You're lying. You're literally lying on my podcast right now. That's okay.
I'm going to send you pictures.
No, you're absolutely right. I think, like, I love Solange's style.
Yeah.
But I can't wear some of the things that she wears. Like, I feel like it just, my thighs won't look right in that.
But also, all these celebs have stylists, so they have people, they're paying people to do that job. We don't have that,
luxury.
That luxury, and that's fine. But I think you can still achieve you can definitely take inspiration from some of her looks and see how that can fit into your wardrobe. And then you'll be looking like, people will be saying, oh, you put this outfit together so good. Oh, I really like what, and that's then your style,
Yeah. Do you use Pinterest?
I kind of do. I kind of don't. I have lots of secret boards that I use.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say I use it regularly, but it's definitely helpful sometimes.
Because someone said about style recommendation to use Pinterest.
Yeah, I've heard of that, of people doing that. And I think it's definitely one way of doing things. But also I feel like some of Pinterest is a bit saturated and,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice. So dress for your body, dress in what makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Buy timeless pieces.
Definitely.
It sounds so simple. I feel like you make this sound really simple.
It's really it's it, and these timeless pieces, they don't have to be, huge investments. I do a lot of charity shops, a lot of vintage shops. Some of my favorite shops are, vintage shops.
Yeah.
So you can really make it work with whatever budget, whatever you have, to be honest.
That's true. There's some great pages as well online of people even like reusing things. Like, I saw this girl. She was like, maybe like she's a size 8. And she said, oh, I bought these old Levi's jeans from a vintage shop. And she was like, they're size 14, but I'm going to take them down back into my size. I'm going to cut them and make them into shorts. Yeah. I was like, there is no way that is going to even look remotely nice. When she was done, I was like, I need to go into every charity shop right now.
Right.
Cutting up all these things.
Let me tell you something. That is the hack of life. When I realized that I could adjust the waist of my jeans wherever I bought them from,
you taught me this.
Is the hack of life. Everything fits nicely. Like, they don't make jeans, they don't make bottoms for girls with, small waists, big booty. It's not a thing. But we can make it ourselves.
Not. It's so difficult. The worst thing is buying a pair of jeans, putting them on, turning around. They look great from the front. Yeah, right? And then you turn around, you just see
that gaping back. Oh my gosh. An abyss of nothing.
Oh my God. The amount of jeans I've had to return that I actually really loved.
Yeah.
they just don't fit around your waist.
Yeah.
But yeah, life hack, everyone. Paige actually helped me with this. I was like, I didn't even know I could
Honestly.
just take my jeans and just take the waist in.
Right. Game
Yeah.
changer.
Where do people get that done? Because some people can do it by themselves, but you
Yeah, so I should be doing my own because I know how to sew, but I really just take them to my dry cleaner who has an alteration services, and he'll get it done in a couple of days, and it's cheap.
Nice.
Yeah, just give him the measurements.
What other things do you think people like? Because it could be dresses, it could be like we talked about jeans, it could be actually, I feel like with trousers you never really have that problem. Trousers are one of those things that if it fits you, fits you. If it doesn't, just send it back.
Yeah.
Like, start trying to mess around with it. Yeah. Well, the life hacks, zipper breaks.
I mean, there's a few now that I'm even just coming across. I don't know if I have like one that's really life-changing apart from the waist hack, but definitely getting crafty and learning how to make your own is,
no one's doing that.
It's such a valuable craft to learn.
No, make your own jeans. Sorry, make your own alteration thing.
Yeah. Or make your own clothes, make your own everything.
Don't push it.
Honestly, I scroll through YouTube. There's so much going on there when it comes to repurposing, remaking, making things fit better. 10 ways on how to change up a shirt look. There's so much on there.
Nice. I agree with you, to be honest. I feel like I've gone through. Sorry, my alarm went off. My timer went off. And it distracted me. I feel like I actually thought I put my phone on silent. I would say there are a lot of things, like in the whole spirit of sustainability. There are a lot of things that I feel are easy. Like I have a pair of gym leggings that ripped. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to buy a new pair of gym leggings. I was like, you could just crack out a sewing kit and just put that rip back. Yeah. Together. Like sometimes it rips because it's like this is the end of the line for that particular item. Sometimes it rips
it's actually a bit worn, yeah. Which is good too, to get to that stage.
Yeah. You can rip it. And I remember one of the first things when I went to boarding school when I was in Nigeria, quite a young age. And I remember the first time my zipper broke. Yeah. And then I had I think it was either like a house parent or an older student. I was like, what do I do? My zip broke. And she was like, oh, let me teach you how to do it. And then she was like, you cut it, you zip it up, and then you sew that rip back together again. And I was like, wow. Like it was such a simple thing, but ever since today, if the zipper breaks, I'm like, perfect opportunity.
Exactly.
Perfect opportunity to get into
how to get it done. Right. Yeah. It's the way. And there's another hack actually that I forgot about. When you're the inside of your jean thigh, when the friction gets too much. Listen, girls, what we need to do is we need to get another piece of material. It could be anything. It could be interfacing, which is good because that becomes fusible when you sew on top of it.
When you say interfacing, what do you mean?
So interfacing is you can get it from any sort of craft store, any haberdashery. You can ask for it. It's just a thin piece of mesh sort of type. It's not meshy per se. It's not 100% transparent, but it's just a light meshy fabric that you can use, and it's fusible. So once you sew over it and you wash it, it kind of becomes the fabric. So you can get that, or you can get any other material, put it underneath, and then just sew over it continuously. You can do this by hand or by sewing machine, and then just cover that hole, and that's how it's done.
Wow, easy peasy. That's the worst thing. Like I feel like sometimes I bend to pick something up, and I just literally hear that. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Not now. Yeah, I mean, we all know that feeling.
The struggle is real. Yeah. Peju, we're out of time. Tell us what you want us to know about your brand going forward, what we should be doing, what we can be doing better to be more sustainable. Give us the outro, baby.
I mean, you guys can just look forward to some cute pieces that you can collect over time and even possibly pass down to your kids, wonderfully made pieces, usually by hand. And yeah, that's it really. I just think it's quite easy to start. There's a step, that you need to take. The first step into sustainability is just having that conscious attitude of not trying to dispose of everything, not buying things because it's cheap and you're just going to wear it once. I think it's just an attitude change that needs to take place first, which is the simplest thing to do. And then, you learn more from there on.
Agreed.
Yeah. Agreed. And that's what I have for you guys.
Thanks, Paige. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
for your insight and your hacks. I'm sure people would love that. I love that. The jeans one is for sure changing my life.
Honestly, necessary.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.